Hello, hello, dear friends. Welcome to Democracy Ish. Yes, Wajahat has 800 kids and 7,000 jobs and 2,000 cats. So we will begin while we wait for him to jump from one show to the other to join us here on Democracy Ish. Folks, happy fucking Friday. I swear to God, I feel like I have crawled to get here over glass, and I don't even know if we can even call Fridays a finish line because this week has felt like living inside of absolute and total fucking hell. Like every time that we say to ourselves, oh, it couldn't possibly get much worse than this. It's like the devil says, hold my beer. Like that's how I have felt about this fucking week. It is, I mean, let's just start with what we know. What we know is that we are living inside of the most disgusting, depraved global society filled with actual real life monsters. Like you don't need to waste money going to horror shows anymore. You don't have to waste money for cheap thrills. All you have to do is either turn on the news, turn on streamers, turn on just start swiping through your phone, because what we learned about the pedophilia ring, what we learned about the desire for global domination and the doing away with democracy worldwide, and what we've learned about disappearing of children and torture and rape and murder, right? And cannibalism. And you would think that when you look at the fucking news, like look at these quote unquote bullshit legacy papers, that there's much to do about nothing. Clearly, we're just all overreacting, right? Clearly, as I heard from someone today, I went to go work out. I had the hardest fucking workout. So if I look exhausted, that's the reason why. Because I'm like, I got to keep my mind and body and spirit sharp to fight against these fucking demons. And so here I am. I'm at my workout and I run into a colleague who is also an independent content creator, and he says, yeah, Danielle, I got to tell you, I've been talking to my friends that are still at, the CBS's and the CNN's and the New York Times of the world. And and he's relaying to me and he's saying, he's like, I don't understand why you all are not covering what has happened, what we have learned with any rigor. And this was some of the response. The response was, I mean, it's to be expected. Cannibalism and pedophilia is to be expected. Like, let's just brush that off and talk about Walmart and talk about like anything else. Folks, we are living in hell. And that is what we're going to talk about today on Democracy Ish. Wajahat has arrived. Hello, dear friend.
So, pardon me, Don Lemon asked me to come on briefly, and it was myself, Jim Acosta, and a few other people. So we gave her a quick commentary about, the president not only being an alleged pedophile and abuser of women, but also, surprise, an anti-Black racist. And I don't know if you saw, Danielle, but the White House has just removed the horrifically anti-Black, anti-Obama racist image. And if I may, why is that a small morsel of hope? Because we've been following Donald Trump now for what, 20 years?
This is my face right now when you say that this is a small. So go ahead.
You know why? Okay,
Hip us all.
let me explain why.
Hmm.
MAGA and Donald Trump never ever apologize for the racism. They indulge in it. They embrace it. They double down on it. I'll give you just a few examples. The anti-Somali hate. I don't want to repeat the stuff that he said. The Nazi conspiracy about Haitians, even after we're informed it was a lie. To this day, JD Vance still rides it, right? The birther conspiracy, he went for years on it, right? Right before he was elected. Remember the rally in Madison Square Garden where all the comedians said racist stuff? They embraced it, especially against Puerto Ricans, right? The racist stuff against Bad Bunny. The fact that they removed it is first time I've seen in a long time a concession oh, we might have gone too far. And if you've been watching on Twitter and social media,
Oh,
some
yeah.
triple Trumpers are calling in for the first time, Danielle.
I got it. I got it.
And they're like, oh my God, this is so racist. So the fact that they removed it, folks, is what? A sign of weakness. The fact that he did it is a sign of weakness, because how Donald Trump and Republicans have always distracted from his corruption, his lies, his cruelty, his failed economic policies is through what? Racism. So he's like, oh my God, Epstein, there's more and more stuff coming on. Oh my God, the job numbers were terrible. Oh my God, I have the lowest approval rating. Oh my God, I'm negative double digits on immigration. Oh my God, people are really pissed off at ICE. Oh my God, we might lose the House. Oh my God, we might lose the Senate. Donald Trump says, like an old, aging, decaying lounge singer in Las Vegas who only has one trick left. I know what I'll do. Anti-racist, no, excuse me, racist, not anti-racist, racist-ish against Obama. You know what we'll do, Danielle? The same thing racists have been doing to black people for centuries. I'll portray him as an ape and the base will eat it up. And it's so racist and he's so weak now that even Tim Scott, yes, that Tim Scott, who has no eyeballs and teeth. Remember that when he was running for Senate? No eyeballs and teeth, Tim Scott, just the black caricature. He's like, wow, this might be too racist. And that's why
So
that's full of hope.
So, folks, for those of you who don't pay attention to the news nonstop, like Wajahat, who doesn't actually sleep and sends me clips in the middle of the night, let me just run back what it is that he is discussing and why Donald Trump took the easy racist road out that he always does when his back is up against a wall. Um, 1 second, because that is not it. This is the image. This is the video that Donald Trump decided to post on his social media account. I'm not going to play the video.
Yeah,
And I will tell you that when Waj sent it to me this morning, I posted on Threads and I said, "Dear Black people, um, Donald Trump is once again trying to get us into the streets in mass.
yeah,
Donald Trump is trying to use racist tropes against a beloved global figures in the Obamas to try and rile up Black people so that he can put his finger on the trigger of the Insurrection Act.
yeah,
Because it is not enough for this administration. They need their final piece, right? Which is Black bodies in the streets in order to incite their militarized slave patrollers to violence,
that's right.
right? In order to incite the Insurrection Act and say things are out of control. Look at these crazy Black people. And what have Black people been doing in mass for the last year? Minding our own fucking business. We are resisting in ways that do not require our bodies anymore to be on the front lines of this resistance. Why is that? Because we're not the ones that fucked up. Because we're not the ones that voted over 50% once again for a convicted criminal. No, we're the ones that said, hey, over there, vote for the Black lady. You know, the one that's smart, the one that, like, yeah, she's a corporatist and a moderate, and I have my issues with her, right? But she's not insane and she's not a fucking fascist.
And she
But
didn't party with
and
pedophiles.
she didn't party with pedo. No, she isn't a pedophile. I'm not going to even give. And the partying bullshit, no, she's not a pedophile. And her best friend isn't a pedophile, right? So here's the thing. Everything that Donald Trump does when he realizes that he is failing is a sign of absolute weakness. And what Waja said is that Tim Scott, who again is the nope, I'm gonna swallow it back up. I'm not gonna say it. Tim Scott, who is very happy to step and fetch it for white nationalism, for his proximity, for his alleged power, came out and said, this is the most racist thing I've seen from this White House. And my question is, do you need glasses, sir? Because this is racist, but is it the most racist? Unclear, because there's so many fucking examples. That being said, I just want to remind
Nice.
everyone, and I always appreciate Still We Rise. It's an incredible site. It's an incredible account. follow on all platforms, and they posted this: the Obamas will forever be everything he is not.
There you
And
go.
it drives him crazy because on the weekend that his fucking prostitute fucking wife was supposed to have her grand display of her
Ooh,
documentary on her hookerdom. What did
did
Netflix,
you say word up?
what did good black people do? They decided to make Michelle Obama's Becoming #1 on Netflix again. By the way, it came out a year ago and they made it trend to make a fucking point. So I want to play this video. We'll play this video and then Waj, you'll talk about it on the other side. Because again, I don't actually care about the apologies
Yeah.
that racists want to give now that they realize that, oops, Donald Trump has gone too far. And oh no, now my MAGA hat makes me actually look like a Klansman. Take a listen to this caller who called in from New Mexico to C-SPAN.
Oh my word! I am a registered Republican. My dad was the president of American Pipeliners Association, so I came by it rather naturally. Voted for the president, supported him, but I really want to apologize. I mean, I'm looking at this awful picture of the Obamas. What an embarrassment to our country. All this man does is tell lies. He is not worthy of the presidency. He takes bribes blatantly, and now he's being a racist blatantly. They were supposed to deport the dangerous criminals. They were not supposed to go after small children, storm schools, bring terror upon, the little kids and the women and children, not just the immigrants in the school. All the children are scared. This is not a decent man. This is not an honest man. He openly takes bribes. He's pathetic as a president, and I just want to apologize to everybody in the country for supporting this rotten man.
John, did you vote for him in all 3 elections?
I did. I was sucked into the stupidity of creating jobs, and there are no more jobs in New Mexico. Things are worse than they were before. You cannot find a primary care physician. Our governor just passed some laws to try to help. If you are a young physician, we want you in New Mexico. Come here.
I'm just going to say, and then I'm going to pass it over to Wash. Fuck you and your apology. 3 times you voted for a fucking criminal. 3 times you voted for a man that bragged about grabbing women by the pussy. 3 times you voted for a man that put up a full-page ad to have the execution of 5 innocent black children. 3 times you voted for a man that told you that he doesn't really believe in democracy and wants to be a dictator on day one. 3 times. 3 times you voted for a man that added $7 trillion to $7 trillion worth of debt the first fucking time that he was in office. 3 times. 3 times you voted for a man that said, can't we just shoot them in the leg when talking about protesters? So now all of a sudden, as you're coughing and wheezing because you don't have fucking health care and doctors are fleeing your goddamn state and ain't nobody got any fucking jobs, now you want to turn around and say, oh my word, I had no idea he was such a racist.
I just want to say that Danielle saying hookerdom made me laugh, and I'm going to be using that as part of my vocabulary from now on. Now, moving on to that white Trumper, white supremacy is ultimately self-destructive. We've been saying it on Democracy-ish, and now you see it. Because when given a choice between sharing a spacious home with me and Danielle, they elected 3 times to not just burn down the house, burn down the village. And they thought there would be a bunker for them. They thought the destruction would not land at their feet. They thought they would have healthcare. They thought they would have jobs. They thought the rest of us would be punished. They thought the rest of us would be weakened, removed. They thought they would be great again. And he gave several tells in that comment. Well, now they're going after not just the immigrants, they're going after all the kids. All the kids.
All the kids are scared.
And the question then is, well, which kids were you okay with ICE terrorizing?
Come on.
Brown and black kids.
Mm-hmm.
And what he said, let me just translate this. Let me translate this from white America. Let me just decode what he said. I was perfectly fine with Donald Trump putting his boot on the necks of black and brown people. If I didn't like it, I was at least okay with it. Much like the people who partied with a pedophile Epstein, even though pedophilia is gross to me, I was willing to look over it if it helped my bottom line. My bottom line is I wanted to feel great again. I wanted to feel white again.
Come on.
And I was sold on this myth that America will be great again if Donald Trump comes in and makes the white man great again, because it wasn't economic anxiety that drove most voters. It was cultural anxiety. We felt like we were being replaced by the Danielles and Wadges. So the more cruel Donald was, the more happy we were. The more he bashed the Haitians and Somalis and immigrants and undocumented immigrants and Muslims and Mexicans, the more we had a boner. And then we were so enraptured in this high that we had that we kind of failed to pay attention that this man is a corrupt, lying, vulgarian, failed businessman. Because that high we got, the fact that they put it in our veins 24/7, it made us feel better. It made us feel better than Danielle. It made us feel better than Obama. It made us feel better than the Wadges. We were back on top, like our daddy and our granddaddy. And now we realize the high has worn off. And no matter how many hits they give us, just like the hit they gave us earlier today, you know what? It doesn't work. I'm not getting that high. The reason I'm not getting that high is I can't afford grocery. I can't afford eggs. I don't have a job. Healthcare is very expensive. And you know what? ICE is killing the whites. They kill us, and they're going after our kids. And now this guy who said he was going to go after pedophiles, I think he might be a pedophile. And he with pedophiles. Oh my God. I am now seeing what the rest of us saw is that this man is a racist. And I'll just conclude this rant with a fantastic, if you guys haven't seen this, and I'll send it to Danielle. It is a classic top 10 SNL skit that has gone viral. I mean, just perfect. It came out a couple of days ago the Saturday. Ashley Padilla, who's like the star now of SNL. Danielle, I'm telling you, it is on point. They have this white mom, and there's a white family, and there's 4 white kids who are kind of young, and there's an old white dad, and they've all come together to the family house because they're going to take the dad out for his birthday, right? So the mom says, I need you all to listen to me, but before you say anything, if you even raise your eyebrows, I'm going to be angry. They're like, what, mom? Okay, she goes, listen, I may have been incorrect about Donald Trump, and he might be a racist and a liar. And the kids are like, what the hell, mom? What the hell? And then she gets really upset. He goes, I need grace. I need grace. I'm vulnerable here. But if you guys get angry at me or say, I told you so, I'm going to go back to Donald Trump. If you get angry at me for being blind for 10 years to this, I'm going to go watch the Melania documentary. That's the gist of the skit. It's really well done. And that to me is what's going to happen in the next 2 years. We're going to be expected to give these people grace for being vulnerable and admitting that they were conned. And what's going to happen, Danielle? I'm going to tell you all what's going to happen unless we change it. No accountability. Reconciliation without truth. Nothing about the racism, nothing about the white supremacy. Slap on the wrist. Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee will get monuments. Richard Nixon will get, won't get any jail time. Too big to fail. And war criminals like Dick Cheney will have a bipartisan send-off, and Donald Trump, once he dies, will get a very, if you will, hagiographic send-off in the New York Times for being a man who shot from the hip. What do you think? Do you think I'm wrong here?
No, and I will say this though, over my dead body, will I give off any farewell send off to Donald Trump that is anything other than popping bottles of champagne and dancing in the fucking streets. Like, you know what? I believe in grace, right? I absolutely do. And I say, give yourself grace if you're feeling grief about this moment. If some days you can't seem to get up, if you are just filled with rage and, you can't focus, to give yourself grace. But I'm telling you, after 10 goddamn fucking years, you're asking me to turn around and give you grace for your fucking stupidity that has cost people their lives? Like, do you understand that every single person that voted for Donald Trump, first time, second time, third goddamn time, every time that you voted for him, you have blood on your hands? And I am not being hyperbolic. And so I will refuse to now all of a sudden be, oh, poor white man. I'm so sorry that now it's so blatant and in your face when you see a 5-year-old abducted by ICE, when you see a white mother shot in the head, when you see a white man executed on the street, that all of a sudden now that makes you feel bad about yourself. But we've been telling you for 10 years who this motherfucker was, but you needed that hit. And racism felt so good. White dominance felt so good. You said, give me another, give me another, give me another. And now you can't get high enough to numb yourself to the shit that you decided to go along with.
That's right.
That's what they're waking up to. They are in withdrawal symptoms because there is not enough fucking snuff and drugs in the world to numb you to the fact that you voted willingly 3 times for a motherfucking pedophile.
And now look at this. As this is happening, and look, this is, folks, we've kept saying it. Donald Trump is the avatar, the end result of America's enduring sins of white supremacy, misogyny, and greed. All right. He is as American as apple pie and a pedophile and a slaver. All right. Look at what just happened an hour ago. I don't know if you saw this. Mark Elias breaking. Republicans are moving quickly to pass a bill, Danielle, requiring voters to show proof of citizenship, both to register at the polls ahead of the 2026 midterm elections, a move that experts warn could disenfranchise millions of Americans.
It's going to disenfranchise their own voters. And this is the thing that this is the thing that they don't get. Because Waj, I don't know if you know this stat off the top of your head, but a majority of Americans actually don't have a passport. A majority of Americans don't have a passport. A majority of Americans probably also don't know where their fucking birth certificate is. So what are you using? And especially those that are in the rural areas, those that are in their deep red areas,
elderly, poor,
the elderly, the poor, the ones that have had their red hats on tap dancing for them. Like, they don't have proof of citizenship. So go ahead. Just like they wanted to gerrymander down in Texas, and now the Republicans are waking up and saying, oh my God, I think we might have diluted our own districts and fucked ourselves. So by all means, drop the dynamite. I don't give a fuck.
Dummymander. What they did in Texas, folks, is, again, racist. They gerrymandered. They thought it would work. They counted on all the Latino and independent Republicans to vote for them. And I talked to Mike Madrid about it in the summer, and he said, listen, man, if these Latino trends stick, these Latinos who vote Republican, they're not Democrats. This is very important.
Yep.
They actually might switch over and vote Democrat. What just happened in the special election? Nearly half the people who voted and gave, I'm forgetting the name of the Democrat who came in, the veteran, the guy who ran on, pro-working class affordability, in that ruby red Trump district, which was a 30+ point swing. Nearly half the people, Remit, thank you. Nearly half those people are Republicans. So they dummy-mandered themselves. Him trying to go after mail-in ballots, right? That's a thing that's been stuck in his head, even though he did mail-in ballots. That's going to hurt them. All this stuff is going to hurt them. But white supremacy, folks, going back full circle, is ultimately what, Danielle? Self-destructive. They will burn everything. Donald Trump, as we have said, because this is who he is, a cornered New York sewerite, will chew through everything and everyone to stay alive,
including themselves.
And this man will burn America down to the ground just to get ahead, even as he's dying. Now, the question is for the GOP, will they stick with him? And what I said years ago, and I'm going to stick by it, is they made a Faustian bargain. All the way up, all the way down. They're stuck. I'll give you an example. Let's not forget that Donald Trump partied with a pedophile, a raper of girls, a trafficker of girls who might have, according to the latest Epstein files, actually buried and covered up the murder of the girls during some rough sex, right?
I'm going to back you up a minute. Donald Trump did not party with Epstein. Donald Trump is a co-conspirator and an accomplice in a sex trafficking ring. And so I want us to stop giving this motherfucker the benefit of the doubt and just saying like, oh, they just had a penchant for young girls. No, Donald Trump, we have 38,000 files, 38,000 references. There are more references to Mar-a-Lago in those files that dropped than there are to Epstein's Island. So let us stop pretending that all he did was hang out with Jeffrey Epstein. No, the fuck he did not. Okay?
No,
He did not.
I'm just protecting ourselves legally. He
Allegedly. So I'll just throw that in.
yes,
Allegedly.
allegedly raped girls repeatedly. And there are multiple accounts of these girls who are telling either under oath or told someone about how he raped them. And the MO is consistent with his pattern of violent behavior against women. Even E. Jean Carroll, and this is not
Correct.
alleged, he was held liable for
Right.
raping E. Jean Carroll and then defaming her. And we have him on audio saying, when you're rich and famous, they let you grab it by the pee, right? That's what he does.
And
He
who else came out, remember, but then recanted and is now dead? Who else
his wife,
came out and
first wife,
said that he raped her?
first wife.
Ivana,
Yep.
right?
He was so
And
enraged.
who mysteriously, by the way, no deep investigation into Ivana's death, by the way. No deep investigation and a very quick funeral and burial on his private club land, right? So, folks, let's all take our heads out of the sand and for fear of seeming as if we're tin hat conspiracy theorists, like actually just connect the dots that have been laid out in front of us that we did not want to see because we thought to ourselves, couldn't possibly. No, no, no. Not a sociopathic fucking misogynist, racist, like alleged cannibalist murderer could not possibly be in our White House right now, right? Like that couldn't possibly be the thing, except allegedly it absolutely fucking is.
And to distract from the Epstein files, which are the story, which I believe is the biggest, we've been saying it for a while. I think now it's confirmed it's the biggest political cover-up in modern history and maybe in history, or the attempt at a cover-up. He decides to go do what? Racism. Folks, this is a man whose entire life, I mean, he took out, you mentioned it, Danielle, I want to revisit it for 1 second, if you don't mind. There were these boys, they're boys, these teenagers were, spent years of their life where they were tortured, and to this day, they haven't gone over it, where they were convicted, falsely convicted for raping a white woman. The Central Park Five, who later are the exonerated five, right?
Yeah.
They're just teenagers. They were just mostly black and brown teenagers at the wrong place at the wrong time, but they were black and brown. And they needed some scalps. If you need some scalps to placate the mob's rage, give them black and brown kids. And Donald Trump, an adult, took out an ad, a full-page ad. He spent money, his own money, taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times, calling for the death penalty against these black and brown boys. After DNA exonerated these men, who many of them
spent 30 years, some of them up to 30 years of their life, lost their entire lives, lost their health, and some of them lost their minds. One of them is now currently a council member, Yusef Salam, in New York City, who ran successfully and is a city council member, but lost their entire lives.
Yeah, Yusuf made it out, but a few others you could tell.
No.
I mean, the trauma's still there. It's like they said it. They're like, I'm forgetting the name of the one individual. He says, I'm broken, right? It was so painful. To this day, I just want you to just sit with this. They're exonerated. DNA cleared them. They've always been innocent. They lost 3 decades of their lives. All Donald Trump has to do is the following. I'm sorry. He doesn't have to say I'm sorry. Oh, I'm glad they got the right perpetrator. Criminal. Or you say this, nothing. You say nothing. You know what Donald Trump says in the year 2026? They're still guilty. This shows you the mindset of his viciousness, his cruelty, his arrogance, his ego, that he doubles down on the racism. This is who he is to his core. He has a racist bone. Every bone in his body is racist, right? He has a racist heart. What are all the euphemisms that America say? I don't have a racist bone in my body. I don't have a racist heart. I don't see color. He always sees color. The color he sees is black, all right? Everyone who is a person of color is black. He even tells you, shithole countries. In the first Trump administration, remember they gaslit us? They said, oh no, Donald Trump didn't say that. Now he comes out and says, oh yeah, I said that. Shithole countries, shithole, I'm saying it, shithole. This is who they are, Danielle. And I'm with you. All the people now who are waking up to
I
that.
don't care.
Well, I say, thank you. I'm glad your eyes are awake. I don't care. And I'm going to move on. And you can join us or you can join us, but I'm not going to give you an award. I'm not going to give you grace. I'm not going to give you space to be vulnerable. I'm not going to beat you up. I'm not stupid. Strategically, welcome. You have to expand the tent. But I'm going to say you chose not to see it. You chose not to see it because his racism was beneficial to you and your family members. Or, Danielle, you thought it wouldn't affect you.
So, switching gears, staying on Donald Trump and Epstein, but switching gears. Because the things that we saw this past week and the things that people are still continuing to uncover, because you have to remember it was a 3 million file dump. 3 million. Okay. So, what we want to do for the remainder of the show is to be able to put together bigger pieces of the web, the global puzzle and web of Epstein. That isn't just about, and I said this on the Danielle Moodie show yesterday, it isn't just about sex trafficking. It isn't just about cryptocurrency. It isn't just about grifting. It isn't just about the insatiability of the rich. It isn't just about world domination. It's about all of it. And all of the ways that over the last 10, 15, 20 years that we, by their data mining and our desire to be connected and always on our phones and accepting cookies and doing all of these things, have paved the way to our own domination. And so we'll start off with this: the Epstein, Thiel, Trump connection. Epstein replied in an email to Rubin that his powerful friend, Peter Thiel, Palantir, would vouch for him. Rubin wrote back with good news. They're not bothered. They'll chat with Thiel. Jeffrey Epstein's money mingled with Silicon Valley startups. And I want to bring you to this, right? What's happening in America is techno-fascism. And the writer of this is from the UK. It could happen here. How do I pronounce her last name, Waj? Carol Cadwalder?
Yeah.
Okay. Carol, I want to show you this fucking graphic because when you see how all of this has been weaving together, unbeknownst to all of us, and again, we saw this clearly on Donald Trump's inauguration day, on the dais where family and friends usually sit. Who sat there? But the techno giants, right, of Silicon Valley. So the new graphic from Nerve News could be so much bigger, but we wanted to show 3 essential nodes in Peter Thiel. Mind you, who is Peter Thiel aside from Palantir? He is the puppet master of who? JD Vance.
That's right.
How did JD Vance become a senator and then the vice president of the United States? Peter Thiel's backing. Okay.
But even before that, he mentored JD Vance, and JD Vance throughout his entire career has essentially worked for and or with Peter Thiel. And then Peter Thiel funded his campaign to the tune of $15 million. Without that money, JD Vance is not senator. And then Peter Thiel and the crypto bros through Don Jr. hand delivered JD Vance as a vice presidential candidate to Donald Trump.
So here is the web. Walk us through, Waj, because you have hit me to a lot of the players that were here, because I pay attention to so much, and there were the bottom half, I did not become hip to until 2 weeks ago.
So Peter Thiel, for those who don't know, is a white nationalist billionaire. I'm not just throwing those words around. He is an avowed racist. If you don't believe me, just go and look at the latest Epstein dump, in which he openly shares an email with Jeffrey Epstein saying, this is why women and people of color should not be allowed to vote. Women and people of color. Peter Thiel, as the billionaire, is also the one who used Hulk Hogan to destroy Gawker, because Gawker was the one that actually outed him as a gay man. Yes, he's a gay white nationalist. Folks are like, well, no, how can people who aren't white be white nationalists? I give you the leader of the Proud Boys. I give you Stephen Miller. I give you gay man, father, husband, Peter Thiel, right? Peter Thiel is part of what they call the South African PayPal broligarchy, or the PayPal mafia,
Mhm.
right? The PayPal mafia, meaning he and a few others made their money through PayPal. Who else made their money through PayPal? Elon Musk. Who else did it? David Sachs. Who is the AI czar of the Trump administration right now? David Sachs. Who gave $300 million to make Donald Trump president? Elon Musk. Who was the head of Doge and stole our secrets and destroyed agencies? Elon Musk. Peter Thiel is one of the co-founders of Palantir. Palantir was created during the War on Terror, much like, wait for it, DHS, much like ICE. Palantir was funded and supported by both Republicans and Democrats, an essential part of the military-industrial complex. The rest of us have been saying, you know what? Maybe we should invest in Palantir, which is named after the all-seeing surveillance orbs that the bad guy used in Lord of the Rings. Palantir has been amassing billions of contracts worldwide, and it is in bed with the Trump administration, right? The Trump administration has given it massive contract to build, wait for it, a surveillance state. Oh, a database. Oh, we know that DHS is using a database. ICE is using a database, right? Alex Karp, the coked out now president of Palantir, last year openly said Palantir is being used by Israel in its war against Palestinians. We're proud that our technology is being used by this, right? So you got Peter Thiel, who has
In the
his
center.
fingers in the center, who has his fingers in the pot with Palantir, with crypto, with AI. You see Alex Karp on top of him. He's the head of Palantir. You see Sam Altman of OpenAI. You see
Yep.
Elon Musk, his homie from the PayPal mafia.
Mhm.
Larry Ellison, folks, is the founder of Oracle. Oracle this week just announced they're laying off thousands of jobs. Why? To free up money to build AI data centers, because banks now feel like, wait, this might be too much speculation. Crypto, by the way, has gone down. We might see a bubble burst. But I digress. Larry Ellison, also hardcore pro-Israel, one of the single biggest private donors to the IDF, bought TikTok, throttled TikTok. His son, David Ellison, Nepo baby, is the head of Skydance and Paramount. Skydance and Paramount had a merger by bribing Donald Trump. They fired Stephen Colbert, and then they brought on, wait for it, Barry Weiss, who is also pro-billionaire, pro-right-wing, pro-Israel, who is one of the biggest funders to her free press, who was the Jiminy Cricket in her ear, David Sachs. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, and we know now Facebook is throttling. Through crypto, you have Donald Trump Jr. We already see J.D. Vance. We see Donald Trump. Steve Bannon. The Epstein Files show a deep connection between Steve Bannon and, wait for it, Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein, Steve Bannon, and later Peter Thiel share a very similar worldview that we need to destroy the world order.
Yep.
We need to destabilize financial markets through crypto. We need to return to tribalism. And then what Epstein was doing through Steve Bannon, he's like, oh, I'm really interested in online gaming. I'm really interested in right-wing media. Tell me more about 4chan.
Yep.
And furthermore, and who the Barack...
and just remind people what 4chan is, because everybody does not know.
4chan is, I'm actually impressed by this. I'm doing pretty well. This is on.
I'm like, run with it.
4chan is the dregs of right-wing fringe media that used to be fringe media, which is the birthplace of some of the worst conspiracy theories, specifically QAnon. Epstein desperately wanted to meet the founder of 4chan, which I want you all to investigate this. Think about it. PSYOPs. They are projecting onto the rest of us through QAnon what they were doing
All of the
all
shit that they
along.
were doing.
An international cabal of powerful people who are raping, sex trafficking, killing, and in some instances, allegedly eating children. All right.
Okay, just pause 1 second because
Yeah.
I just want to
I hope that was useful. I hope that was useful,
no,
everyone.
it's really useful, and you're not done because we got to go into the UK people, Mandelson,
Go for it. I know. No, take
here,
it.
and okay. So here's just the thing that I want to add in. 4chan, which again, these are things that I have never been privy to, right? I don't follow the deep dredges of the internet. I also don't follow the gaming community. But 2 years ago, and I said this yesterday on the Danielle Moodie show, and I posted the 2-part episode that I did with my former producer of Woke AF, who is a gamer
Mm.
and brought me through how Steve Bannon and the far right
Yep.
infiltrated the gaming world in order to co-opt the minds of young boys, right? And feed the brosphere.
Did they tell you
4
about Gamergate? Gamergate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And 4chan, right? And so it's a 2-part series. 4chan was there, and why Jeffrey Epstein was like interested in this and wanted to meet Christopher Poole, who was the founder of 4chan, right? Was because this is my assessment. If you can seed all of these conspiracy theories, but direct them towards Democrats, and you put out all of these outlandish things or what seem outlandish, right? Then you are feeding chum to the sharks of MAGA so that then they are looking over here. So they're not paying attention to what you are actually doing over there. So he understood, and by he, I'm talking about Jeffrey Epstein, understood. For him, his main goal was to be able to create nation states that were lawless so that he could continue to grow his sex trafficking business and be able to continue to rape children without consequence. That was his goal. That was his end goal. Where he converges with Peter Thiel and Steve Bannon and the rest of them is that they have their white nationalist fascist goals of, again, these micro nation states and that they rule, and these fiefdoms, the return to empire and tribalism, as Jeffrey Epstein said in one of the emails that was put out. And what is so very fucking interesting is that when he talked about Brexit just being the beginning, he is talking about the need to destabilize, get rid of democracy, raise up the white nationalism, right? That would then give them all of the deregulation, all of the power, because at this point in time, they have put money everywhere around the world in order to lift up these fascists in Italy, in France, in the United States,
Russia.
in Hungary, in Russia. Like they're moving pieces, folks. We are not humans to them. We are pieces and cogs. Go ahead.
No, that was really good. And I think the key, I was talking to Gil Duran yesterday, who does a fantastic site called the Nerd Reich. I said, what ties all these people together? And he said, simply white power. If you look at the people in the Trump administration, the Trump ecosystem, it's Stephen Miller. He's a white nationalist. Russell Vought, the co-author of Project 2025, a white Christian nationalist. And then Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, who believe in techno-fascism. What connects them together, right? Because they're all different parties and partners, right? But what connects them together is white power. Power in the hands of a select few people who believe they're better than everyone else. Epstein was also a racist. Epstein was also a eugenicist. So is Elon Musk. So is RFK Jr. Epstein, in one of the Epstein Files, imagined birthing a better race of human beings through his seed. Who else believes that? Elon Musk. Yeah, they believe that white babies are being eradicated through the replacement theory, and they need to rebirth the white race. And furthermore, like as Danielle said, they do not care about Earth. They can use their money to combat climate change. They don't care. What they're doing is they believe that they and their seed will be the future of, I'm not making this shit up, folks, will be the future of humanity that will terraform this, the galaxy, and they will live on Mars. And furthermore, they will never die like the Pharaoh. They're all invested in transhumanism.
Transhumanism.
Larry Ellison wants to live forever. That weird guy, Brian Johnson, also
Peter
part of the
Thiel.
Peter-
Can you also tell them, because again, I did a video on this, Prospera in Honduras being one of the many
these cities.
petri dishes of these autonomous nation states. But Prospera in Honduras, folks, is the place where you can go and get all of these non-FDA approved fucking weird ass surgeries and weird things like done to your body so that you can essentially live forever.
So Prospera and Praxis are the names of these quote unquote free cities that Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and the Broligarchy and Epstein before his death imagined, where through the deregulation and the destabilization of the post-World War II order, crypto would help destabilize it, the dollar would fall, nation states would end, tribalism would rise, anything that could show regulation and accountability would be dismantled, and in their place, they would have these quote unquote free cities as part of network states in which essentially, folks, imagine feudal kings. The entire earth is parceled up into different parts, and one part belongs to Pete Thiel, another part belongs to Musk, another part belongs to David Sachs, another part belongs to the Trump kiddos, other part belongs to Witkoff, and this council then would elect one supreme leader who's basically their puppet. Their if you will, their mentor, philosopher Curtis Yarvin has said democracy is incompatible with capitalism, right? With capitalism. So Prospera is one example of a free city. Another one I just put in the link is Praxis, Praxis. Yeah. And this is how they use Trump. Trump, apparently in the first administration, got it in his head that he wants Greenland. So everyone else, you just have to realize this, they're riding Trump, but they're remoras. Each one has like a different goal. So the Broligarchs are like Greenland. Greenland will be the site of Praxis, our free city, where it'll be the test case for this utopia in which we, the techno-fascists, rule. Go check it out. Praxis. There's Prospera, there's Praxis, which is why the bros want Greenland so they can create Praxis as a test case free city for their network states. And this is all, they're going to stay here. They're going to build AI. AI is going to replace all the workers. AI then also, Danielle, I know this sounds crazy, folks, just trust me. They're openly saying this. AI also will then be their own army, because before AI a few years ago, their fear was the following. They've been on this for years. I talked to Douglas Rushkoff. He wrote a book about it, where billionaires invite him to an island and said, when all the resources go away and climate change, where can we go, the rich people? And then their question for him was, well, if we hire private military firms, how can we ensure that the private military firms don't rebel and kill us? Don't we need robots? So the AI isn't just
because again, they don't watch enough fiction and sci-fi to think that, oh, the robots won't turn against them at some point, because by the way, AI is learning off of itself, not off of the things that it's being fed anymore.
Already happening.
No one knows how that's happening. And by the way, when they try to talk about shutting down AI, guess what AI does? Lies and figures out ways to sustain its own existence.
They're going to be, folks, at the end of the day, and we're going to talk about UK. Danielle's going to talk to us about the UK guest, a huge angle, and I'm going to try to get a guest for us next week who's been on it, because it's UK. We have so much to hear in America, but what's happening across the Atlantic, folks? These tentacles of they might take down Keir Starmer. We'll talk about it in a second. But these billionaires are raping our children, raping our wealth, raping our land, and they will kill us. These are psychopaths. Sociopaths. And folks, you know how we say, go after the billionaires, go after the billionaires, go after the billionaires. As you hear all this, I want you to really think, why is it that Democrats really haven't gone against Peter Thiel or David Sachs? Why is it that Gavin Newsom said, hey, they're part of the big tent? Why haven't they really gone against AI? And the reason is these billionaires fill their coffers. These billionaires give them money, which is why you've seen a tepid response, which is why we say these people, just listen to Gavin Newsom. Don't listen to his tweets. Listen to him. Will you tax billionaires?
It's a big tent.
He has been funded his entire career through these Silicon Valley bros. We cannot have any of these
No.
Silicon Valley funded Democrats in office. I'm telling you, if we do, it's our own
It's a
demise.
weird.
Sorry.
I want to just bring it back to very quickly the article that Carol wrote. What's happening in America is techno fascism, and I want to bring you through. She says, I've been writing about technology for nearly 2 decades. For half that time, my beat has been the headlong car crash of Silicon Valley and democracy. And here we are in 2026, and I'm at a loss at how to convey the extreme existential danger of this moment. It is less than 2 weeks since Trump threatened a NATO ally, less than a week since a mass paramilitary gunman in Minnesota executed a civilian in cold blood. And yet, here in Britain, it's business as normal, politics as normal, Radio 4's Today Show, and all the platitudes of minor Westminster spats as normal. But nothing is normal right now. And Britain is not a peripheral bystander to what is happening in America. The UK government is Palantir's second biggest customer behind the United States. Taxpayers' money is supporting its bottom line, as they are in the United States. And there is every reason to think that we could be next. The use of armed militia to terrorize the inhabitants of Minneapolis is not just beyond the rule of law, it is fascistic. It's the final evidential point between what is happening today and the political forces that ripped Europe apart in the last century. And that's not just me saying this, it's some of the most eminent historians and historians saying it. But it also goes well beyond that. What we are witnessing in
Thank
America
you.
is techno-fascism. This is fascism partnered with advanced surveillance technologies. And this is what we see playing out in Minneapolis in real time, and with one company playing a preeminent role, Palantir.
Boom.
It's not just Palantir. We've seen other data harvesting monopolies and Silicon Valley companies paying homage to Trump. Meta and Google and OpenAI and Oracle and Amazon and NVIDIA, many of which have financial and other links to Teal. Palantir is the very tip of the extremely poisonous sphere. She goes on to say this: personal data is the key to Trump's political project. Folks, I want you to listen to this. Personal data is the key to Trump's political project. It's an essential part of ICE's work, the foundation for what is now under construction. And Minneapolis is where you can see it being built, an authoritarian surveillance state. This week, U.S. tech site 404 Media revealed details behind what Palantir is doing for ICE. A leaked user guide described the company's role in creating the technological apparatus ICE to find and locate alleged illegal immigrants for detention and removal. Enhanced leads identification and targets for enforcement. ELITE is a targeting tool designed to improve capabilities for identifying and prioritizing high-value targets through advanced analytics. The app populates a map with potential deportation targets, brings up a dossier on each person. Folks, this happens in real fucking time. The glasses that they are wearing are not just about protecting their faces. They have information. They have cameras in them. They are scanning, folks.
And Lev broke this like a month and a half ago. He said, watch out for these glasses. They're using AI technology to capture people's faces, driver's license, and put them in a database.
And provides a confidence score on the person's current address. To
And
do
they've been
so,
wrong. They've been wrong, by the way.
yeah. To do so, it ingests multiple sets of personal data, including address records from Health and Human Services, a government department. It was previously revealed that Medicaid records of 79 million U.S. citizens would be shared with ICE. On social media, a video shows an ICE enforcement officer filming a protester. Quote, "We have a nice little database," he says, "and now you're considered a domestic terrorist." Folks, this is happening right now. I was on the phone with a friend of mine from Minnesota. And she said, "Danielle, you've been to Palestine And I said, yes, I have. And she goes, you know how in Palestine they would pop up with security checkpoints at any given time and
Still true.
change them from day to day? And I said, yes, I remember this. And she goes, that's exactly what is happening in Minnesota. There are checkpoints all over the place. You cannot avoid them. It's not as if it's in one area or another. They pop up wherever, whenever. And what are they doing? They are recording information. They are recording faces. They are recording license plates, and they are running information background on people immediately, and then pulling those people, whether pregnant or not, disabled or not, yanking them out of their cars and throwing them in fucking detention. Folks, like, this is happening right now. Right now. This is why there has been such a crackdown on Minnesota. They needed a state to use as their training ground so that then they can unleash this across the country right in time for the midterm elections, right in time so that the 80,000 warehouse detention centers that they are building, they are not for immigrants. They are for dissidents.
Concentration camps. Folks, if you've gone to Palestine, everything that's happening in Minneapolis, it's almost like a microcosm. Random masked armed agents terrorizing you for no reason, random check stops. You have no authority whatsoever to fight back. You feel like you're under, wait for it, occupation, mass surveillance, boots on the ground, boots on your neck, always suffocated. If you resist, it's seen as you being, wait for it, a domestic terrorist, which then rationalizes the state to inflict violence. Alex Karp gave the Palantir technology to Israel for its genocide. Proud about it. Go check it out. Proud about it. Didn't even care that employees quit. Proud about it. Who has trained our CBP officers? Israel. Who has traded information about how to quell dissent and crush terrorists? Israel. Who do we just give billions of dollars to? Trump administration bypassed Congress. Wait for it. Israel. Who literally less than a week ago at a breakfast while recorded said that one of his main goals as a U.S. Senator was to ensure aid and funding to Israel.
Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer. And when was ICE created? 2003, during the War on Terror. And who supported the War on Terror and funded the creation of ICE? Republicans and Democrats. And so, folks, it isn't just Trump. I want you all to think big picture. This is a loaded weapon that America decided to create and build, and then America decided to load up the ammo, and then America then decided to point the gun at its own head and press the trigger. I'm sorry, that's the War on Terror has come home, which is what we've been talking about for 2 decades, that if we create this military-industrial complex without any regulations or accountability, and we're perfectly fine, going back full circle, Danielle, it was perfectly fine using this big effing gun against the Latinos and the immigrants and the Muslims and the pro-Palestinian activists and the Iraqis and the Afghans. We were okay with that. But what would happen if a president takes that big effing gun that was created by both Republicans and Democrats
and points it at you?
At Americans? And now it's too late. It's too late. ICE is a beast. It's too funded. It's too big. They're going to crack skulls. More people are going to die, which is why what I'm saying is it's not enough to get it out of the hands of Donald Trump. You have to dismantle the weapon. You have to defund it completely, because a Schumer or another Democrat will use it in the future, which is why we have to abolish ICE. We have to dismantle DHS. We have to stop funding Israel. I know people might think, oh, you're just brown because you say it. Nope. Majority of Americans are with me, folks. Danielle's been there. Danielle, is it not occupation?
I will say this because I know that we're coming close to time. And I have shared this before and I will share it again. I had the ability to go to Palestine and Israel in 2015. And at that time, it was a cohort of Black and brown journalists that were brought there that are primarily national coverage journalists to go and see what was going on in Palestine and in Israel. And I decided, I said, oh, yeah, let me go. I don't really know anything about this region of the world. And I was there for a week, and we talked with members of the Knesset. We talked with activists on literally on both sides. We talked with leaders on both sides, right? Started the trip in Jerusalem, and then would go to the West Bank, and then were not allowed to go to Gaza, and then would end the trip in Tel Aviv. And I will tell you that I have never felt so terrorized
Mm,
in my life, that I left there and had nightmares for well over a month
mm.
about what I saw and how I felt while I was there, to the point where we would go out to dinner as a group and whisper because we weren't sure who was listening around us, to walk through different areas that where Palestinians lived, and to see the utter fear, the destruction, the dehumanization that they were experiencing was worse than I had ever read about anywhere.
Yep.
And to understand once again that when we use these references and these examples of trying to compare ICE to the Nazis and ICE to something that seems foreign and outside of the scope of American values and the American system, understand that the basis for Israel's occupation and degradation of the Palestinians came from Jim Crow. It came from America. It was the same in South Africa apartheid. They used what America had already created, two separate systems for white and black people, and they exported it. The biggest export that America has ever had is segregation. Right? It is the testing of black bodies without anesthesia. It is the killing of black people. That is what has been used to fuel and the blueprint for occupation, for genocide around the world was homegrown in the United States. And so when we say that what you are seeing in Minnesota, when they say that it is a test ground, that it is a training camp, when Donald Trump got on national television and said, we are going to use these states as training grounds for ICE, this is what they want to do all around the country. No one is safe. Nowhere is safe. And the tentacles of AI that we have powered through our likes and our shares and our information and our cookies and our this and our that is now the monster that is at our doorstep, fueled by fascism, fueled by anti-blackness, fueled by misogyny and rape culture.
And bringing it back full circle and ending it, America's enduring sins are racism, misogyny, and greed. And the avatar is Donald Trump. And why are we surprised? As we end, I want to end on some good news. And
Please.
this is a political earthquake, folks. I know you might not be following this, but Ana Lilia Mejia, the most progressive Democratic nominee who is seeking to replace Mickey Sherrill's New Jersey district, a suburban district in New Jersey, a wealthy district, a quote unquote centrist district, she most likely will hold and emerge as the dark horse winner, a Latina, the most progressive candidate who is openly pro-Palestine and says, wait for it, abolish ICE. AIPAC thought she would have no chance of winning, so they went against the little bit more moderate Democratic nominee to weaken him, which then helped her surge to the top. Okay, you can't make this up. So now we have in one of the most centrist, wealthy New Jersey districts that was home of Mickey Sherrill, and Lilia Mejia most likely will emerge as a Democratic candidate for her seat. Pro-Palestinian, abolish ICE, organizer, Working Families Party, Latina. Folks, we've been waiting for that 2014 moment when Tea Party replaced Eric Cantor. Keep your eyes on that race, Danielle.
So, folks, that is it for us here at Democracy Ish. Before we get out of here, Waj, promote yourself, please.
I'm sick, but I keep going. This thing is not going away. I'm sorry, but I'm trying my best. I have a 25% off special. It's a lefthook.substack.com/special. And I always used to apologize for being shameless. I know we have to leave in 2 minutes, but you know what? The world's worst people are making money. The world's worst people are making money. I
That's
gave
right.
advice to a Latina
That's
friend of
right.
mine. I gave advice to two women who were like, should I get on Substack? Maybe. And I said, let me help you make money. F these people. They're really good reporters. I can't mention right now. But you know what? Go support Danielle. Become a paid subscriber, damn it. Everything is free on Damn Digest and the Left Hook. Become a paid subscriber. If you spend $3.75 in a coffee, just give it to Danielle, all right? We're all independent, folks. And so we have to help each other. They went after independent Black journalists last Friday.
Yep. Last
If you have
Friday.
a few dollars, become a paid subscriber. If you don't, we get it. Damn Digest, The Left Hook, become paid subscribers. And I'll be back at 1:30 with an amazing conversation with a reporter who talks about the oligarchy's connections to Epstein. The Oligarchs watches Caleb Karma is coming on for the first time. So if you really want to do a deep
Amazing.
dive into crypto, Musk, Teal, 1:30.
Ooh, and I've been here's me. I creep into Waj's comments all the time and to watch all of the interviews. So you should do the same. Folks, I want to give a shout out and thank you to Julie for your $20, Steve for becoming a YouTube member, Ghostface Killer, as always, for gifting a membership, Soka for gifting a membership, Becky for your $2. Every dollar counts. Mead for your $10. I appreciate you. Real Talk for $5. Linda for $10. Susan, our fabulous moderator, for $10. Thank you so much. Mr. Will for $5. Zoe for $9.99. Lucy for $5. Appreciate you. Becky and Claire coming in very big. Appreciate you for $50. I can't thank you enough, folks. And if you don't have the resources, just like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit that bell and that you have subscribed not only to my channel, but to Waj's YouTube channel, to both of our Substacks, The Left Hook and the Damn Digest. We are back on Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Who knows what kind of fuck shit is going to happen over the weekend? So do something joyful. Take care of yourselves and each other. And please, oh, please, don't be a fascist. See ya on Monday. Go to Waj and watch him soon.